Hi everybody, I'm Gianne Calo and welcome to my channel. In this video, I'd like to share 3 ideas with you as a practice you could try to implement for our mental hygiene, especially whenever we feel overwhelmed by worry, because how many of us feel overwhelmed right now? How many of us feel worried right now? How many of us feel overwhelmed by obligations and responsibilities that's making us feel worried right now? So if you answered yes to any of those questions, then you are watching the right video for you, because in this video, my goal is to help you get from feeling overwhelmingly worried to a place where you can function well. Because isn't it true that the more we think, the more we overthink? And the more we overthink, the more we get overwhelmed. And the more we feel overwhelmed, we tend to procrastinate. And as we procrastinate, we tend to stagnate. And then life suddenly feels like it's just meh. It just feels like you're stuck. Right? So that's really where mental hygiene comes in. Now, before we start, let me first say I am not a psychologist, nor a psychiatrist, or a neurologist, or really anything with an ist. So if you are someone who needs professional help, please do seek one. Do not be afraid of it, and most especially, do not be ashamed of it. Now, as for me, I'm just your daily average person who, like you, is going through the same peaks and valleys of life. And I'm not gonna lie, when the pandemic broke out, and this economic crisis, and this health crisis, and whatever crisis that we may face in the future, I don't really know, but the previous months, it just feels like I'm always in a panic. I was fearful. I could not sleep. Like, I always wake up in the middle of the night, right, around 2 or 3, and I was scared. I was fearful. I was not really dysfunctional, but I couldn't help but think, worried, how could I provide? How could I, provide for myself, provide for my family, provide for the people who's working for me? But fortunately enough, I was able to stumble into this self-development video like 6 years ago. And from then on, I started to get hooked in self-development, mindset, and growth. And so it really helped a lot. It really helped me a lot in managing the stress level of overwhelm and worry. So that's what I'm going to be teaching you in this video. Now let's go on ahead and get started. Alright, mental hygiene. Why did I even use that word? Well, it's because, have you ever noticed when we start to have body odor, we don't really get overwhelmed? I mean, we get worried that we start to stink, but we don't get overwhelmingly worried. It's just because we know what to do about it. It's just that we just know it's time for us to take a bath. And what do we call it? We call it body hygiene, right? Or when our breath starts to stink, we get worried that medyo mabaho na, but we don't get overwhelmingly worried because we just know what to do about it. We just know it's time for us to brush our teeth, right? And what do we call it? We call it oral hygiene. When the problem arises, we already have a system in place in order to address the problem. That's why we don't really get overwhelmed. But what happens when our minds are clouded by fear, by worry, by hurt, by pain, by doubt, by negativity, by anxiousness, hopelessness, helplessness, self-pity, we don't really know how to handle it. We do our best to cope, and that's okay. We were never really taught how. It's just that we don't really have a system in place in order to address whatever we are feeling and overthinking and having these negative emotions about. And that is really what you're going to be learning in this video. Now, point number one is be present. Start being present. In this chaotic time of our lives. Now, outside us, it's chaotic. Inside us, it's chaos as well. I don't want to ask you to be positive. I don't want to ask you to be optimistic. False positivity is such a bad way to, cope. It just doesn't help with our mental health, So what I'm asking you is to be present. Acknowledge the fact that you feel the emotion, that you feel worried, that you feel fearful, that you feel overwhelmed. Why? I'm not asking you to be dramatic. I'm asking you to feel, acknowledge. Why? Here's why. Because we're human. And we were designed to have emotion. We were designed to feel emotion. We were designed to empathize, not only to ourselves, but also to the people around us. But, what happens is, have you ever noticed when we start to suppress our emotion, the more we become distant? The more we suppress our emotion to ourselves, the more we become distant to ourselves, the more we become distant to our family, the more we become distant to our friends, the more we become distant about work, the more we become distant about life. And you just start to feel like you're not living life. Right? So start being present, my friend. And that leads us to point number 2 here. Point number 2 is ask why. Ask why and find the lesson. Alright? Ask, why do I feel these emotions? Why do I feel fearful? Why do I feel overwhelmed? Why do I feel worried? And find the lesson in it. You got to find the lesson. There's always a lesson about life. And we have always heard it before. Right? So you have to find the lesson. Which just leads us to point number 3 here, is make a plan. When you look for the lesson, that lesson becomes a goal that you want to achieve. Right? So you have to make a plan to achieve that goal. Right? Make a plan like, what can I do now in order to give my future self this goal right now? Because I know we've heard this a lot of times before. Knock and it shall be opened. Seek and you shall find. Ask and it shall be given. Right? Well, first you have to knock to yourself in order for you to open to yourself. And you have to seek the right questions so that you can find the right answers for you. And you have to ask, what can I do now in order to give my future self better fate than what I am experiencing today? Start doing those 3 things, guys. Start doing these 3 things. Yeah. Start doing these 3 things. And you can start to feel that your life is moving again. That you're not stuck. Start doing these 3 things and you can have a mental hygiene. A system whenever you feel negative, you now have a system so that you don't get overwhelmed. Start doing those 3 things. Start doing these 3 things. And you can start to feel that you are inching your life forward. Hey guys, I hope that you have found this video of help and of value to you. If you did, it would be immensely appreciated and of great help if you could like and share the video. And if you'd like to take this journey with me, then I hope you would consider subscribing to this channel. I know that this channel is fairly new. This is actually the first video, but I really have a lot of things in store for all of you. So that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next upload, everybody, God bless us, and together, let us inch ourselves forward.